Imagine waking up to find your phone doesn't work, the power is out, and there's no way to communicate with the outside world. This isn't a scene from a sci-fi movie. It's a potential reality caused by solar flares. Recently, we've seen spectacular auroras lighting up skies in unexpected places and experienced minor disruptions in our communication systems. The lack of widespread disruption during these events has led some to question whether solar flares are still a significant threat, or are we worrying over nothing? Welcome to Prepper's Paradigm, your trusted source for practical prepping advice. Today, we're exploring solar flares and their potential impact on our lives. We'll break down what solar flares are, the recent events that have sparked debate, and most importantly, why preppers should still be prepared for disruption due to solar storms. Let's dive into what you need to know and how to stay prepared. To understand the potential risks of solar flares, we first need to know what they are. Solar flares are intense bursts of radiation emanating from the sun. These occur when magnetic energy stored in the sun's atmosphere is suddenly released, causing what we see as bright flashes of light on the sun's surface. Imagine the sun's magnetic fields as a twisted rubber band. When these magnetic fields snap, they release enormous amounts of energy in the form of solar flares. This energy travels through space and can reach Earth, bringing with it various effects. When a solar flare reaches Earth, it interacts with our planet's magnetic field, causing geomagnetic storms. These storms can have a range of effects, from the beautiful auroras lighting up the night sky to disruptions in our communication and navigation systems. Auroras, or the northern and southern lights, are one of the most visually stunning effects of solar flares. When charged particles from the sun collide with Earth's atmosphere, they create these mesmerizing light displays. Recently, we've seen auroras at latitudes much farther south than usual, a clear sign of increased solar activity. But solar flares aren't just about pretty lights. They can also cause disruptions to our technology. High-frequency radio communications can become unreliable, GPS signals can be thrown off, and satellites can be damaged. These disruptions are usually temporary, but they highlight the potential for more severe consequences if a larger solar flare were to hit. Solar flares are categorized by their intensity, with X-class flares being the most powerful. Recently, we experienced X-class flares, including as large as X8, which caused some radio blackouts and rerouting of transpolar flights. It's important to note that X-class flares can vary in magnitude, with higher numbers indicating more intense flares. The direction of the flare, whether it's directed at Earth or not, also significantly impacts its effects on us. In summary, solar flares are powerful bursts of energy from the sun that can cause beautiful auroras but also disrupt our technology. The recent X-class flares serve as a reminder of the potential risks. To understand the potential threats of major solar storms, let's look back at history. The most powerful geomagnetic storm on record is the Carrington event of 1859. Despite happening well before the advent of much of the modern technology we have now, this event caused widespread telegraph system failures, with some telegraph operators even reporting sparks and fires. Imagine the impact of a similar event today. Our modern society relies heavily on technology. A massive solar storm could disrupt power grids, communication networks, and satellites, causing a cascade of failures across various systems. Major solar storms can induce currents in wires, including power lines, leading to the destruction of electronics and widespread blackouts. In 1989, a geomagnetic storm caused a 9-hour blackout in Quebec, Canada, affecting millions of people. A more powerful storm could have even more devastating effects, potentially leaving entire regions without power for days, weeks, or even longer. Satellites are particularly vulnerable to solar flares. High levels of radiation can damage satellite electronics, disrupt GPS signals, and interfere with communications. This could affect everything from navigation systems to global communications, impacting airlines, shipping routes, and emergency services. The economic impact of a major solar storm could also be enormous. The cost of repairing damaged infrastructure, coupled with the economic losses from power outages and communication disruptions, could reach billions of dollars. For our society, the disruption to daily life, business operations, and emergency response systems would be significant. While these scenarios might sound alarming, understanding the risks helps us prepare better. Major solar storms are rare, but they can happen. The key is to stay informed and be proactive in your preparations. Now that we've explored the potential threats of major solar storms, let's talk about why it's crucial for preppers to stay prepared. The recent solar flares have shown us that while disruptions can be minor, the potential for far more severe impacts remains very real. Solar activity follows an 11-year cycle, but predicting the exact timing and magnitude of solar flares is challenging. This unpredictability means that a major solar storm could strike with little warning, leaving us with only a short time to react. Consider the 1989 geomagnetic storm that caused a 9-hour blackout in Quebec, affecting millions. While this was a relatively short-term event, it highlighted the vulnerability of our power grids. A similar event today could disrupt power to large areas, impacting homes, businesses, and critical infrastructure. Short-term power cuts can lead to immediate challenges like food spoilage, loss of heating or cooling, and water supply issues. These inconveniences quickly escalate into serious problems, especially for those who rely on electronic medical devices or have limited mobility. Beyond short-term disruptions, a major solar storm could cause long-term damage to satellites and communication networks. This would affect everything from GPS navigation to global communications, potentially crippling transportation, emergency services, and the internet. In the most extreme scenario, a massive solar storm could lead to a prolonged or even permanent grid-down situation. This would mean no power for months or even years, causing a complete breakdown of modern society as we know it. Food supply chains would collapse, water purification systems would fail, and healthcare services would cease to exist. The societal impact of such a scenario would be catastrophic. Without power, we would face widespread chaos, with people scrambling for basic necessities like food, water, and medical care. Emergency services would be overwhelmed, and law and order could deteriorate rapidly. While the likelihood of a permanent grid-down scenario is low, the potential consequences are so severe that it makes sense to be prepared. The more immediate threat of short-term power cuts and communication disruptions is very real and could happen at any time. Being prepared means being ready to face these challenges head-on, ensuring the safety and well-being of yourself and your loved ones. Understanding the risks is the first step, but knowing how to prepare is just as important. Let's talk about practical steps you can take to ensure you're ready for any level of disruption caused by solar flares, from short-term power outages to long-term grid down. Water is your top priority. Store a substantial supply of water, aiming for at least 1 gallon per person per day for an extended period. Invest in rainwater harvesting systems to collect and store water from natural sources. Ensure you have water purification methods, such as filters and purification tablets, to make water from natural sources safe to drink. Next, focus on food security. Stock up on non-perishable, long shelf-life foods like dried beans, rice, canned goods, and freeze-dried meals. These can sustain you for short to medium-term disruptions in supply chains that could be caused by a major solar storm. For long-term survival, develop a self-sufficient food supply by growing your own food. Establish a garden with a variety of fruits, vegetables, and herbs. To provide enough for self-sufficiency, you need at least 150 square feet of garden per person. If possible, set up a greenhouse to extend your growing season and protect your crops from extreme weather. Seeds are vital for a sustainable food supply. Stockpile a variety of heirloom seeds, which can be harvested and replanted season after season. Regularly rotate your seed stock to keep it viable, and practice seed saving from your crops. If you have enough land, consider raising small livestock like chickens, rabbits, or goats. They provide a renewable source of protein and other nutrients. Learn how to care for them and ensure they have the resources they need to thrive. Hunting and fishing can also add to your food supply, so include the tools you'll need for these in your survival kit. Preserve what you grow. Learn techniques like canning, dehydrating, and fermenting to store your harvest long-term. This not only extends the shelf life of your food, but also adds variety to your diet during extended periods of disruption. Equip yourself with manual tools and equipment. Items like hand-cranked grain mills, solar ovens, and non-electric kitchen tools ensure you can process and prepare food without relying on electricity. These tools can be invaluable in a grid-down scenario. While long-term survival focuses on food and water, protecting your electronics is still important. Use Faraday cages or EMP-proof bags to shield critical devices like radios, flashlights, and backup power supplies. These can help you stay informed and communicate during the disruption after a major solar storm. Backup power sources are also important if you want to maintain a power supply during outages. Invest in renewable energy options like solar panels and wind turbines. These provide a sustainable power supply, ensuring you have access to electricity without relying on the grid. In summary, being as self-sufficient as possible ensures your long-term survival and resilience in a grid-down scenario, whether caused by a solar storm or any other major disaster. We've covered a lot today, from understanding the risks of solar flares to preparing for both short-term disruptions and long-term survival. It's clear that being prepared isn't just about having the right supplies. It's about adopting a mindset of resilience and self-sufficiency. The key to effective prepping is planning and practice. Regularly review and update your emergency plans. Involve your family in drills to ensure everyone knows what to do. Preparation is an ongoing process, not a one-time event. To recap, focus on long-term water storage and purification. Develop a self-sufficient food supply. Preserve your harvests. Equip yourself with manual tools and stockpile heirloom seeds. These things will keep you well prepared for almost any disaster. By taking these steps, you can face the future with confidence and ensure the safety and well-being of your loved ones. If you enjoy our content, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. Your support really helps to grow the channel and provide more useful guides. Stay vigilant, stay prepared, and remember, at Prepper's Paradigm, we're here to help you navigate uncertainties and thrive in any situation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.